Welcome back to Christian Not Religion. It's my podcast slash YouTube. Well, I basically just give back my experiences of being an 11-year spiritual devotee for all of humanity, and hopefully some information on this podcast slash YouTube channel will bring you some type of value. Things I'm about to discuss right now is really for those who can hear, because for someone who's not invested into spiritual awareness, it's going to sound peculiar to you because you simply just don't have the brain functions to comprehend what I'm saying. You really do have to have the brain functions and acupuncture system to comprehend the things that I'm talking about, just because it's in a different space of understanding. And just because you cannot understand the things I'm discussing does not make you a lesser of a person, and it does not make me a better of a person. That's not a real thing. That's something that human beings create to validate this idea of reality, which quite honestly is totally irrelevant in another space. The reality of form is dominated by science, and that is the authority for the world of form. In the world of the formless, that is dominated by the mystic, which both spaces are extremely impersonal. Growing into spirituality isn't gaining anything. There's nothing that's given to you. It's not like someone is like, oh, you did this right, so you graduated and you get this. It's not a reward system. Let's start there. My intent of this channel is to demystify the idea of what it means to be spiritually aware and to be a spiritual devotee. That's all my intentions are. My intentions are not to persuade you and to make you believe anything I'm saying. I literally could care less if you believe anything I'm talking about. Makes me no difference. It doesn't change the reality of truth. But I do want to talk about the actual experience of being human and consciousness itself. You are the light of consciousness, meaning that you're not separate from Buddha, you're not separate from Jesus Christ, and you're definitely not separate from me or anyone else on this planet or any other thing outside of yourself. You're not separated from the tree, you're not separated from anything. Also, the locality of the body is totally irrelevant in a certain space. Things manifest according to the totality of all things that preceded this moment, meaning that all things that preceded this moment is based on the totality of all things within the universe, not on planet Earth, not just planet Earth. People are conditioned to give more energy to the world of form, and most of the time people neglect the world of the formless because they don't realize that that is something that they have access to because they are a human being. You are not the human body. You are the awareness of its functions, meaning that you are consciousness itself. And there are different levels of consciousness. And what I mean by different levels of consciousness, I'm talking about different paradigms of reality. Each paradigm of reality is different from the next paradigm based on the level of your awareness and the brain functions that you have based on the electronic energy from consciousness itself that's charging your brain functions. Everybody has different perceptions of life, which makes each level of truth a truth. So for instance, if a person has a belief of something at one level of truth, it does not make it right or wrong. That's just that level of that perception and that truth. On another level of truth, that's totally irrelevant. That does not mean that it's wrong. That makes it irrelevant. That level of truth has that level of awareness and that perception. Each level is different. The reason people can't progress within spiritual awareness is because of two things: resistance and wanting to be right. People get off on wanting to be right because it backs up their sick, twisted fantasy of entrenched hate that they refuse to surrender to the Lord Almighty. And within that field of entrenched hate is usually people who watch a ton of porn, who love sugar, etc., etc. That's because a part of the human being thinks that its actions are hidden. There isn't an independent you thinking an independent thought. It just isn't. There isn't an independent you thinking an independent thought. Nothing is hidden. To think that you have the capacity to think an independent thought means that you have the capacity to turn off thinkingness, and you don't. That's just like when you break a nail. Your nail grows back of its own. It's not asking you to grow back. Or when you cut your hair. When you cut your hair, it grows back of its own. It's not asking you to grow back. And that's just like when your heart beat. Your heart isn't beating because you told it to a heartbeat? No. It's beating of its own nature, meaning that all of this is happening of its own nature. It's hard for most people to accept that because a part of them gets off on being stimulated, and that's coming out of the solar plexus. So, in order for you to have better balance, if that's your intent, you have to be willing to de-energize the thing in the solar plexus that's stimulating the reality of what you perceive to be truth. Simple. So demonizing anyone outside of yourself means that you have not fully committed to healing within yourself. And that usually comes from some form of programming that has come from the unconscious mind when you were a child. It's up to you to surrender the things that you are hiding from yourself so you can heal. It's quite simple. It's not really a complex thing. People are unwilling to surrender things to the Lord Almighty. They much rather cling to the idea of Christianity or whatever because that gives them comfort. People don't want to be uncomfortable. And when people are made uncomfortable, they tend to act out because it increases the power. And when power is present, you have no choice but to surrender. That's what people don't like. People would never admit that because they're too busy trying to solidify their individuality as if there's something unique about being human. There's nothing unique about being human. All humans are created equal. There is a percentage of society that influences people's choices, but to be consciously aware that society has conditioned you and still believing and participating in the things that causes you to be conditioned is an indication that you have not undid your negative karma. Because if you did undo your negative karma, you would be totally aware that people are just going through the choices of their life and they're undoing them. So to interfere or to have an opinion on people going through extreme levels of agony means that you don't have the capacity to comprehend that that is something that they're undoing based on their karmic potential. You're either the adult in the situation or you're the child in the situation. One is not better than the other, but the adult carries more power than the child within, period. And if you don't like the things that are happening within your life, you just change them. To have an issue with society means that you have the awareness of all things that preceded this moment within the universe. No one has that type of capacity within the human domain because the only person that knows all things that preceded this moment is the Lord Almighty. You have to be able to accept your limitations as a human being. But most people can't accept their limitations as human beings because they believe that human beings are invincible, which they are not. If your intent is to heal, then the only thing you have to do is unattach yourself temporarily from the things that you perceive that you need for your survival in order to make a space for you to evolve on the evolutionary track of what it means to be a human being. Simple. To be aware of a human being and to have a human body is already a significant gift from the Lord Almighty. The rarity of being a human being is extremely rare. So to be ungrateful for that is very telling. You have to have some type of grace and you have to have some type of humility in order to progress forward. If that's your intent. If that's not your intent, then this doesn't really apply to you. But I really am just expressing the experiences of what it means to be a human being as energy, as the energy that I am. I'm not the human body. The human body is just a physical little, almost like a costume that follows me around, and I just love it unconditionally because that's the intent of Jesus Christ. That's the whole point. If you are struggling with loving yourself unconditionally, all you have to do is ask for Jesus Christ to present itself. That's it. You have that capacity to call upon Jesus Christ to present itself so you can decompress the energy that's in your solar plexus and surrendering that energy to God. It's just energy. It's nothing but energy. It's not a description of something. It's just energy. So you have the capacity to surrender the energy as it decompresses to the Lord Almighty to help yourself heal. That's all. You have that capacity. I'm not really a scripted person. I'm just rolling off a topic and just letting it flow. And quite honestly, this conversation is only happening by the grace of the Lord Almighty. But I'm not separate from you, and I'm not here to judge you, make you feel bad about your choices, or to even convince you to be something that you're not. You are perfect as you are, and it's up to you to accept who you are and to decompress anything within you that needs to be healed. Simple. You have that capacity to do that. If this is your first time checking out the content on this channel, I really do appreciate you for checking out the content. This is Christian, not religion, where I go over and give you back information based on 11 years of being a spiritual devotee and unattaching myself to the world that people perceive as earth. You are an unlimited being, and there's nothing that you cannot do. I'll see you guys on the next video. Glory be to thee, O Lord.